Okay. Gary. Brett, are you ready to go?
You're waiting on me, you're walking backwards.
All right, great. So we're at about 6:30 here, so. Welcome everybody for tonight's meeting. Those people also at home, thank you very much for attending. This is the November 12th City Council meeting for the City of Richmond. The first thing on our agenda is to call to order with the Pledge of Allegiance, so I'd appreciate everybody stand. Remove your caps if you could.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, thanks everybody for coming to tonight. We appreciate you all showing up. Underneath the circumstances with the weather and the snow and everything else, we've had to battle here a little bit, kind of unexpectedly. Winter came upon us quite fast. So the first thing I would like to do was, there was just a letter that was actually sent in this morning, actually by email. I just want to read this out loud. I know there's been some concerns here just recently a little bit with the with our plowing, that happened during the city during this last snowstorm. Again, we normally hope that there's a couple inches to start with instead of 13 inches to start with. It takes a little harder to move this around. But this actually came from a resident, and we also like to hear the good things. We also want to hear the bad things too. So this call came in, and I know you don't get many thanks. A resident at 571 5th Street Northwest wanted to say thank you for first doing a nice job plowing, and second for going the extra mile and plowing the extra stuff at the corner in front of our house. Good job. So it's just a letter of gratitude, a little thanks to somebody during this storm that had an opportunity to be able to have a good plowing experience. One thing that we do want to mention also, folks, is that if you still have the opportunity, I know this hit, again, a lot of the residents that do not have curb and gutter in and around their home, you still have an opportunity to be able to put some stakes out if you want to protect pieces of your land. I don't think the ground is quite frozen solid yet, so if you want to still try to get the opportunity to be able to get out there, if you want to protect some of your areas from not being chewed up, and by next spring you'll see that your lawn might be torn up a little bit too. So Gordy tries to do the best job he can, but there's going to be circumstances sometimes that is going to happen. So just to be aware of that, okay? All right, and on that note, we're going to get going here for this evening. So what I'm looking for currently right now is the approval of tonight's agenda.
Any additions or corrections?
I have none.
Make a motion to approve the agenda for this evening.
Okay, motion by Pat. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
A second by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number 3, approval of the meeting minutes of October 1st and October 30th. If anybody have an opportunity to be able to take a look at those with any questions, any concerns, any typing mistakes at all, or anything anybody see at all during this? If not, I would be looking for a motion on the table to approve the minutes from October 1st and the 30th.
So moved.
Have a motion by Pat on the table.
Second.
Second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Item number 4 is the approval of the bills paid. Hopefully everybody had an opportunity to be able to take a look at that. If there's any questions or any concerns with the council members currently right now, if you have any things that might have popped up that you need to have answered, please let us know. Pat?
Explanation of check number 101-42280-331.
Okay.
Under meals and travel,
Okay.
page 5, $40.58. Oktoberfest? What do we have in travel? General Casey's store, or Casey's General Store.
Marty?
Page 5.
I'm trying to recall. Casey's?
Yeah.
Without getting the invoice out, I don't have it. That's an ACH. 16526. Oh, I thought you said 106. 16526.
That's pertaining to the Oktoberfest that we had.
Says pizzas are Oktoberfest.
Do what?
Says pizzas for Oktoberfest.
Okay. Remember offhand what that was? You know? And Tim and myself are both involved with that. You know what, Pat? I think
Was it
probably the best.
setup fee, I mean, setup times or what? Was it for the people that help set up, was it for?
I can't answer that.
You know what, to be real honest with you, I was involved with that also, and I do not remember that off the top of my head. So maybe what we need to do, Marty, let's circle that, and let's look into that exclusively to see what happened there with that.
Got
what's
charged to
pertaining
the fire department.
Got charged to the fire department.
Okay, so it was-
Okay.
so it's
That should be a fire relief.
Oh, okay, so
fire
that's a
relief
reimbursement
expense
then.
rather than a, or it's music.
Then Cindy would have sent out a reimbursement request.
Got it. Okay, good. That's a good catch. Thank you, Pat, for doing that. So,
If there's no other questions, I make a motion to approve bills.
Tim has one other question here. Tim, what do you got?
Yeah, I got the, we had that design, do a street light repair on 23 and go lights. We had some problems with that. on
Light went
23.
out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So usually we notice that one. And then, I think
What
that's,
page are you on? Page 7?
that's it.
That's it. Anybody else have any questions or concerns about any of the bills that we need to approve for tonight? If not, I'm looking for a motion on the table to approve. Pat, did you have that?
Yes.
Pat had that on the table. Pat made the motion. I need a second, please.
I'll second that.
Second by Tim. All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
So carried. Moving on to number 5, the consent agenda. We're gonna approve this all in one motion. We're looking for resolution 189-14. It's the approval of the October 2014 journal entries, and then resolution 190-14. That's the acceptance of the October 2014 donations. Council members, anybody have any questions or any concerns pertaining to that? The donation, actually, what we're looking at, which is resolution 190-14 for everybody that's here and people that are home. This is actually from the Richmond Fire Relief Association. This is actually City of Richmond Fire Department. This is a donation of $5,000, and that basically went back into, for Marty,
Small equipment and
small equipment
building fund.
and building fund. Okay, so for those of you at home that need to know what that donation would be, that's what that's pertaining to, so. Okay, anybody have any questions or concerns on that at all?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Tim's gonna make the motion to approve both resolutions. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Second by Pat, all in favor?
Aye.
So carried. All right, now at this time, we're gonna take an opportunity to open up into a public hearing, actually. So I think the majority of the people that are here this evening are for the public hearing. One thing we would like to do before we do that is that if you have an opportunity to be able to come up to the podium and you need to talk about what we're gonna be discussing here concerning the public hearing, there is a piece of paper taped right on the podium that states this, that clearly state your name and address for the record. Limit your comments or questions to about 2 minutes. Okay, we're not gonna kick somebody off the podium if they go a little longer than that. Okay, we obviously want to hear your concerns and want to hear your comments. That's why we're here. That's what these public hearings are all about. We do want people to attend these. We like to see faces in here anytime. So it's good to have people that are concerned about a certain situation we've got going on. And then stay on the topic of the public hearing. Let's just try to kind of concentrate on what this actual public hearing is all about. If you have any other comments or any other concerns about any other issues that you maybe want to bring up, and if you want to stick around during the meeting, we'll be more than happy to answer questions or do what we need to do during that time. So, okay, on that note, hopefully everybody understands all that. Marty, I'd like to just take it over to you right now, so.
Mr. Mayor and council members, staff has been working for several months on coming up with some type of ordinance or policy regarding private wells in town and an ordinance to regulate their use. And so basically the section, I'll read it out of the proposed ordinance that was drawn up by our city attorney, Matthew Lovin. Where the municipal water system is reasonably available to any parcel of property within the city of Richmond, the owner of such parcel of property shall make connection to the municipal water system within 90 days after written notice of said availability has been served on the owner or occupant of the property. Where a parcel of property in the city of Richmond has connected to a municipal water system, or where the municipal water system is available to a parcel of property, no owner or occupant of said property or any other person shall construct or make use of any private water supply or well on said property for human consumption or potable water, except for such purposes as may be allowed by the Richmond City Council. So that's the long and the short story, is regulating private wells within the municipality. The three neighboring cities, Rockville, Cold Spring, and Painesville, also regulate by ordinance water and sewer. We already have on the books a sewer ordinance that states you must hook up to city sewer within 90 days of notice, if it's within 300 feet of municipal service. This would just be a pair to the sewer side.
Okay.
The bottom line is we have a bond to pay for, and water is how we pay for our water bonds. We understand that in this town we have quite a few sandpoint wells. That's not what you're trying to regulate or do away with.
All right. Okay. Council members, before we get going with the public hearings, anybody have any questions or concerns on what Marty was just talking about, or we need to address to him or also to our attorney before we get going with the public hearing? Anybody have anything at all? Jim, Pat?
A lot of questions, but we'll wait until after the testimony.
Wait till, okay, perfect, all right. Okay, so at this time, actually, we're gonna take some time here, we're gonna open up the public hearing. So if you would like to come up to the podium, again, follow the rules and regulations that we talked about. And obviously, we'll open it up right now to the public, so by all means, if you wanna just come on up and state your concerns or state what you're after here tonight, and then we'll sit to address and try to answer our questions as much as we can. Okay?
At this time, it's only for the water, correct?
Only water.
Only water, yes, only water right now. That's what we're just mainly gonna be talking about, so, all right, thank you.
Tucker Plattenberg, 568 2nd Street Northwest. My story is that in 1987, when we built, we were part of the township, and the city and the township, the city gave us two options. One was to put it in our own well, or to draw city services from Bob Volk's corner to us, and that would have been at our expense. Well, at the time, it was substantially cheaper for us to put in our own well. So, to make a long story short, what they basically said was that if we had any problems with our well from day one on, then the city would still have that same contractual thing where we pay for it. They would provide water for us. So we've been fine, and we've kind of lived with that. So I guess that's my story. I mean, we'd like to keep our well if we could, but whatever you got.
And you've had no complications on anything with your well at all, Tucker?
No.
During that same time that you've had it, so, okay.
So,
All right, great, thanks.
yep.
Thanks for coming up, all right? Come on up.
Tom Gherkin, I live at 24804 County Road 161 in Richmond, but I don't belong to the city here, but I am speaking on behalf of my mother, Martha Gherkin. She lives on County Road 23 there. 315, I believe, is her address.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I was quite surprised that she got that letter this last week, the registered letter saying that, that she needs to hook up. And because I was on the town board with Munson Township back when she sold that farm, and then that got annexed to the city, and then she got forced to annex to the city as well. And at that time, I went to a lot of the town meetings with the township and with the city, and it was said that she was grandfathered in as long as she doesn't have water problems or sewer problems, and that, or if she sold her home, she'd have to then connect, but otherwise she would not have to hook up to those city facilities. And so we were quite surprised by that. And as you can see, she's quite riled up by that. She's got pretty much the whole family here to support her on this.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, so I mean...
No, go ahead, Marty.
Mr. Gherkin and also Mr. Plantenberg, I think this council is receptive to hearing those type of statements of time of failure or sale. Does anybody have anything in writing? I can't find anything.
I would
Record
think
keeping-
there should be something in the minutes, because I mean, Pat, you were the mayor then, we had meetings on that, and I know we talked
You were
about it.
annexed in what year?
I believe it was 99 or 2000.
Okay.
99 or 2000. And that was also stated,
2000, so.
and that was also stated to be available, to be grandfathered in also at that time, so that year?
Yes.
So that year 99, or roughly right around there.
During those meetings, they were
Okay.
talking about, because she didn't want to be
No,
necessarily annexed.
that's no, understandable.
Because her well and her septic were brand new at the time, she just built that house.
Sure,
For
okay.
your sake, it's not my impression that this council would be adverse to taking that under consideration.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay.
But we need to get something in writing and get it into your file so that we don't have to do this again in 10 years.
Right.
I don't have anything in writing either.
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay.
I mean,
There was a lot of
Thanks, Doctor,
meetings
that's
that was
good,
talked
thank you.
about, but I would think it's in the minutes somewhere in the city here.
Okay,
Should have been.
yeah, we'll have to go do some digging and stuff back
Okay.
on that, so.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Anybody else? Come on up.
Oshrosh, 241st Street Northeast. I have had my well in since I was living there since 1971. And I was on the council for 20 years, and at that time, when I was on the council, I had to ask questions about leaving my well in at that time, and it was okayed. And if there was a problem, I could always hook up to city water if I had problems with my well. And I'd had my water checked just recently, like yesterday, or today, I should say, again. I do it about every 5 years. And my water is better than what Richmond has for contents of nitrates, iron, phosphorus, and whatever. And I say I've had that well in ever since, and I've been on the council, and we never had a problem with it. And I don't see why I'd have to change. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks. Okay. Okay. How about some other folks? Come on up. Okay. Anybody else pertaining? Again, too, we're talking about just the water for now. Okay, just the water. We'll take the next step after we're done with water. Okay. All right. Yes.
Lauren Dingman, 61 6th Street Southeast. And I, along with Tucker and the Garkin family, in the same situation when we had water and sewer supplied to our south addition in 2009, I believe, when they did the south side of the highway. And at that time, we were told the same thing, that if our well was working fine and the water quality was good, that we were able to keep what we had, that we were so-called grandfathered in, and that we just had to hook up to the sewer at that point.
Okay.
So,
Lauren, any idea who made that statement? I mean, that's pretty recent.
well, that was all, Tim was on the council at the time.
I was on the
You were on
council
the
at that
council.
time.
Jim was a mayor.
Jim was on the mayor at that
And it
time.
was
Yes.
all, that
Yeah.
was the vote, or that was what we were proposed, that if you guys go along with us, if you have a well that you wanna keep, then you should be able
I'll
to
see
keep
if I
it.
can find it.
Okay.
So, I do have the paperwork from the meetings, but I don't have it in writing from what they had voted on, you know.
Okay.
So I do have them, but I don't
That's
know,
pretty recent. We should be able to track that.
but I believe that was
also
09
pretty easily.
when
Yeah.
that was put in, so.
Okay.
Same situation.
Same situation,
And our
okay.
well is perfectly fine. And I'm more concerned about if we don't use our well, what we're gonna be up against in a couple of years. We don't use it, it's gonna fail. Now you're gonna come back and say, any existing wells that are on the property, we want you to abandon it. I mean, I've already put out $30,000 for this project already. I don't wanna be,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to keep costs down for myself, and, that's basically where I'm at.
Okay. Great. Okay. Thank you very much, Lauren. Thank you. All right. Anybody else pertaining to water? Okay. Anybody else? Okay, one more time. Anybody else pertaining to water? Do we still continually keep the public hearing open and then we just move on?
You can close
Okay.
it.
Just,
So-
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. my
One
bad, I'm sorry.
comment. I received a call from Jerry Garkin, who received a mailing wrong on this project, and I just want to make it clarified in the minutes that he is not any way, shape, or form, since he's almost a half, 3/4 mile out of town, does this apply to him? I want to make that on the record.
All the mailings went to the mailing address as stated at the Stearns County Courthouse.
Okay.
Okay,
That's our official mailing address. And his name is on there.
so somehow some people should look at your mailing address at Stearns County, because he received mailing, I believe, for the Martha Gerken family.
That family should should call the county.
Call the county just to verify, just call the county just to verify, not that all of a sudden there's a big hullabaloo.
Right.
So I just wanted to verify that call came into me, and I told him I would bring it up at the public hearing, and it was nowhere as near his property.
Gotcha.
Jim might have had a comment.
Jim, do you have a comment about something? I'm sorry.
Not really.
Tim, anything else at all pertaining to this? Okay. All right.
Just one question, how
Yes.
long has this ordinance been in effect?
It is not in force.
No,
Okay,
it's not.
how long has it been on the books?
We don't have
It's not
one
on the
for.
books.
Okay, the sewer's on the books?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
sewer's on the water. The water is not.
Right, okay.
That's why we have to take some time to discuss.
Okay, and we're not pertaining to anything but drinkable water here.
That is true.
Irrigation water, shallow points for doing the garden, the lawn, everything else.
That's a true statement.
Drilled wells for the same purpose, irrigation, where it's not being an issue here.
Right.
Drinking water.
Okay.
I guess I do have a question.
Oh, okay.
So if we were to pass this ordinance, does that automatically force all these people that have just talked to us now to put water in?
If you don't give them consideration, yes. If you pass the ordinance and allow these people that have spoken tonight at time of failure or sale, we will get that drawn up and get it in their file.
Well, I think you have to almost, just because they didn't come to the meeting, I don't think you should eliminate the rest of them either, because I think it should be all pretty much across the board, one to the other, that you do the same for one, you do for all, because some of these other ones probably can't make it tonight and probably have the same legitimate argument.
We would bring that to your attention, absolutely.
No, I don't see any problem treating everybody the same.
Right. Which we do have to take some time to consider, we need, the availability to be able to discuss this for one thing, because this was just presented tonight. So we're obviously getting everybody's concerns, that the people that are involved. So we need to take some time as a council to look at seeing what would be obviously the best route to go with this. I would like to see us, not tonight making any final decisions until we actually have a full council here. I would feel that would be appropriate. We are missing one member this evening, so I would like to get that particular person's opinion also before we move as a council. So just to make some of you feel good tonight that we're talking and bringing up here, we're really not going to finalize any decision this evening pertaining to this without further discussion on a full council. Okay, so just to let you guys know, and that if we proceed with anything more, we will then, obviously we'll definitely be in touch with everybody, correct, Marty?
If I can, I think the public should take comfort in that your main purpose to go this point forward. I think in the small talks that we've had, we've understood there may be some understanding of failure and time of sale. I don't think the council felt that was a major issue. We just want to make sure we don't lose revenue. We can't afford to have residents sinking wells and then thinking they can drop off municipal services.
Right.
I don't know how you'd pay the bonds if you do that.
Yeah. That's a good point. I think people that obviously live within the city limits, know that, that we have to always continually, try to generate revenue, try to generate money somehow to continually pay for, water, continually pay for sewer. That sewer plant that we put in a few years ago, still taking some time to pay for that. So all of us that are hooked up and part of all of that, it's all part of our services that you have when you live in a city. So we have to, as council members and as city people, have to hopefully try to generate and do the best job we can here in these positions. So Pat, do you have a question?
Yes, there's all these, did everybody receive one of these first?
No, that is office memo only.
Office
Okay.
memo only. Basically, it's a list of the people that no sewer, no water. And I see some items on here that these people own storage sheds, and I don't think the intention of any ordinance is you have to put water into a storage shed when there is no purpose of having it in there.
You'll notice that that storage shed is in handwritten. When the property owner called to tell us that it was a storage shed, that removes it from consideration.
I believe there's another one on here too. I'm gonna call on him, I see him in the audience. Alan Schaefer, are your workshop over there, is there any intention of putting water or
Come on
sewer in there?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay, so basically it's a workshop or storage shop.
I put it up as a storage shop. In the center of it, I got 22 feet, 4 inches that I use for my hobby shop. There's storage on either end of it. We keep the shop trailer in there, and there's fish houses in there, and you're welcome to come over and look at the boat. All these.
So there's no reason, basically we could consider that a storage building?
Yes.
Okay. That's
So
what
we need to know.
I'm sorry, I called straight on you then, because there's no intention. You don't have a sewer and water roughed in or any of that kind of stuff. That's all.
And,
So basically it should be labeled here as storage.
Right.
yes.
So,
I'm not obligated to put it in.
No.
But in here, the letter that Marty sent me, he said, you are hereby notified of your obligation to connect to the property of sanitary sewer collection system no later than February 12, 2015.
You gotta remember, at that time with this particular property, you know, we didn't know, or he did not know, Marty did not know, how it was being used.
We generated a list that
Yeah,
do not
that's how
have
it
water
got
and sewer.
generated.
We just need to know it's a
Exactly.
storage.
Yeah.
I can't understand.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We just needed to know it was a storage building, you're fine.
Yeah.
So I don't have.
No.
Nope.
no,
Nothing at
that's
all.
why I want to
We're good to go.
You,
Thanks for, no, definitely, we need,
is there any other buildings that people are here this evening that classify their building as a storage building? Mr. Brinkman?
Yes,
And that is labeled here.
that is labeled.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? Okay. But just to make it clarified too, as a public hearing, if any of these storage buildings ever turn into business buildings, then you are obligated.
if they have services inside.
Right, but I mean, if it's gonna be a business, it's very possible you're gonna have one services. Then you're obligated, not, you know, even if you have a private well alongside of it, it doesn't make any difference.
You'd have to have a permit to do your building anyway, remodel and everything anyway,
Well, not
so.
necessarily, you can just open a structure.
True.
Overall.
Okay. Any more discussion on that at all? With water? Okay. Do we have some, I guess this is still continually a public hearing. I'm actually not gonna close the public hearing yet. Do any people actually have some concerns now on the sewer side of this?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. This is a public hearing for this water ordinance. You can open up the public forum for sewer after you close this one.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Apologize. That was my fault.
Can I just make one comment on the water?
Water, yes, of course, you can still come on back up again, you bet, yeah. We're still open, I have not officially closed.
Lauren Dingman, 61 6th Street Southeast. In addition to giving us the opportunity to use our well, we did pay for the water assessment charge, just as well as anybody else had to pay. $22.50, $22.75. That was paid up front already. So just so everybody knows
Good to know.
that had to be paid. That was in the deal.
That was in
Whack fees
So-
are paid? Is that for everybody?
What was that, Matt? I'm
Is that for
sorry.
everybody?
Yep.
Everyone pay whack fees
Yeah.
up front? Okay.
In that south addition.
And that's
The South Edition, yeah, we're talking about, so. Okay, all right, anything else, we're okay?
That's it.
Okay, at this time, I will close the public hearing pertaining to the water that we've been talking about and the use of private water supplies and wells. Do you want to move on to the consideration then?
Yes.
Okay.
And then, Mr. Mayor and Council, your consideration is this ordinance 2014-100. And as you've already alluded to, you have the option to postpone any action on this until you have a full council. And then we've already indicated we're gonna try to find some documentation.
Right, which we have discussed, so. Okay, so, on consideration ordinance, 2014-100, all the council members, agreeing that this is something that, we need to, look into a little bit more. We need to discuss it, with the full council that's here. So at this time, we are not gonna take any action pertaining to it. Pat?
Just one item on the consideration of that ordinance. This afternoon, I referenced Marty or called him, not to reinvent the wheel in ordinances, not to reinvent the wheel saying that we're pushing this stuff down. One way or the other, I want to have a whole story, so I had him call a few different neighboring cities, and what was the outcome?
I think I stated that at the beginning of this.
That you,
All three have water and sewer mandatory hookup.
okay, within what period of time?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
For annexation, new annexations, one of the cities does allow up to 10 years, I think it was.
Anything else? Okay, so, with that, actually, on ordinance 2014-100, does anybody have any other questions other than what I just discussed that we're looking at planning on doing? After we get some more pertinent information that we want to dig into. So we will, we're looking at just tabling this then? Is that what we're looking at? Postponing, tabling it? Okay, so we're not gonna be making any decisions at all?
No.
Okay, good, so everybody knows that here? That we're not-
Mr. Mayor, is there a sign-up sheet that's going around for the public?
I thought we did have one, wasn't there one, Ernie, is there a, right by your feet right there? Is there a, that one right there? Yeah, that! That one that needs to be signed actually for everybody that is here.
The reason I ask that is that before any consideration or any action on this ordinance, that every resident that has shown up this evening will receive a written, not necessarily a certified copy, but a written notice that we're gonna be acting on it if and when it happens.
I think
It's a little unusual, the meetings and any action is public in the agenda.
I understand that, Marty.
Okay.
We're going to probably agree to disagree on this, just,
Okay.
that we send out 25 envelopes.
If they got their name and address and mailing address, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks Pat, thanks for bringing that up. Okay, so now at this time, while that's continually going around, we are gonna reopen up the public hearing again now, and a public hearing, actually forum, I should say, pardon me, not hearing, a forum, mandatory sewer hookup. Marty, do you want to discuss that at all, and where we're at with that currently?
On the books that was passed by the city, I don't know how many years ago, long before I got here, we have mandatory sewer hookups. And I haven't got the answer from Minnesota Pollution Control yet, but I'm pretty sure you can't have a private septic inside a municipality anyway. Now there is, maybe, do you know the answer to that right offhand?
It seems where you would have sewer services available. I don't know if there's something on the books that states you are allowed to have septic, but it just,
We have mandatory. So this isn't for council to reinvent the wheel, as Pat likes to say. This is already on the books. This is for your staff to enforce. But you asked me to notify those who potentially have sewer hookups not hooked up, to notify them that they could have a chance to come and talk to the council. And that's what this is. A public hearing, it's an informal forum for them to express any concerns. You're not here to take any action, other than if you want to listen to their concerns about why they should not be hooked up.
So during the public forum here then, even though it's not necessarily a public hearing, do they still have to come up to the podium and state their name, just like we have? So again, this is a public forum, a little different than a public hearing. So now we actually are going to talk about the sewers, actually. So if anybody has any concerns about that, please come on up and to the podium and voice your opinions.
Mr. Mayor and Council, could I say that if your argument is the same as it was on water, we'll take that into consideration.
Thanks, Marty.
Martha's the same.
Okay. Anybody at all that wants to discuss and come up and talk about sewer? There were some, the letters that were sent out, correct?
Yes.
Right, okay, and again too, this has been something like Marty stated, this has been on the books. I mean, this has been passed a while ago. So, it is something that is, and we feel as a city, it is mandatory to have a hookup like this. So, the people that did get, letters, if you're here tonight, please feel free to come on up and talk about it, so if you like, so. Okay, and you still can discuss it, so,
Tom Gherkin again.
okay?
Her letter says that she has to have it hooked up by February 12th, and again, that's ridiculous to have to do this during the winter months here to begin
In all
with.
fairness, Tom, the letter said February 12th, weather permitting.
It did?
It did. Because the ordinance says 90 days, we had to put the date in there, but we also realized we live in Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other issue was like, she was under the impression the whole time it was grandfathered in.
Right,
until
and
she
again
did
too,
a new one.
with what we need to look into
Yeah.
from the water portion of it too, it kind of goes hand in hand, so,
Yep.
thank you.
Anybody who got that letter, if this council rescinds that, you will get a letter from this council.
Can't hear you.
Oh, good.
Can somebody repeat it back there for him, please?
That's all right, you can say it a little louder.
Let him speak louder.
You can
Okay.
speak up too.
Okay,
You will get notified if the council rescinds that order.
I mean, we could still get a notice from the council that you're gonna force me to.
No.
No, no,
no, no, no, no, no, no, no,
no,
no, just the opposite.
just the opposite.
Yes,
I think one of the things that, most of these people that we're talking about, like Lauren, when they were brought into the city, part of that is gonna end up being our carrot to get other properties to come into the city. And like Martha's property, they annexed the property around her. My farm's the same way. I don't know if I got it in writing or not that I don't have to put a sewer in. But the point is in order to get properties to come into the city, you better be able to give them some type of reason to come in. And the sewer and the water usually are, either they wanna come in because their water fails, or their sewer fails, and instead of spending $7,500 or 10 grand to put a new sewer in, well, I might as well come into the city and have it hooked up that way. The thing is, we're going down this road of, most of these, there's a reason why they're on this list. Because they either got annexed in or brought into the city after everything else was done. And that's why a lot of them don't have sewer or water hooked up. It's not because they don't want it, it's just the fact that they just got done spending the money on a brand new house, putting water and sewer in, and now you're gonna tell them they gotta shit can it and go start all over with new stuff again. I mean, it kinda makes no sense.
okay.
I don't think that we mean to have anybody put new systems in, it's just that when you have something on the books, we have to follow what's on the books. I mean, I understand what Marty's saying, but in the same thing, there are some exceptions to every rule. It's just a matter of how we wanna get down. Maybe we need to go down one by one and put it in writing and send each property owner, when your system fails, you have to hook up.
Exactly.
And then we won't have this meeting 10 years from now, again.
The reason, maybe nobody's really brought this up, how this came about. How this came about was a piece of property a half a block from here was being sold. And at that point, they checked in, they had their own private well. That well was actually supplying the neighbors, and water and sewer was in the front. Now, in between the sale, how can you sell something if you're supplying water for the next door neighbor? So now this threw up a flag. How many more are out there? That's how this came about. They straightened it out, they hooked up, separated the two properties. Now, how many more are out there that we have to look at? That's what happened. Now, over the years, they've been adding on here, and I'm on this list too. When I shop in the other end of town, I just wanna know how many people are out here that do not have sewer, that are getting a sewer bill. Well, I am.
John Jacobson is.
I'm getting a sewer bill and I don't have sewer. Been getting that for how long? So,
How many people have their own well in town right now?
we don't have any idea. You can have your own well, it's just that you can't be used for their house.
Use of, the mean use.
Well, basically, the way this looks here, just roughly about 20 or
25.
in that ballpark. Maybe not, about 20. But that's the thing, is I'm paying a sewer bill. And I think that started about 6 or 8 months ago when they said, well, everybody, if you're within so many feet, and I'm just along with you folks because I have a drainage area just for water. Producing ice, I go through a lot of water, I don't have any facilities other than sink and my machines that do that. So I'm in the same boat with you, saying that I have water but no sewer. Now, why should I get rid of my drainage field? Well, I guess if it's the case, and that's going to be better for the groundwater all in general, I guess I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and pay the $5,000 whack fee SAC fee, and do that if I wanna operate there. Now, personally, I can see a time period, I can see a sale, so that we don't get into this kind of stuff. Like over here, all of a sudden they're screaming that we're gonna lose the buyer if something doesn't happen. And, you know, we don't wanna be here pressured having a special hearing or a special this or that. Let's get it down in writing one way or the other and give people time or not time or whatever it comes, and that's how it came about. We just didn't, we have a lot more things to do than just to pick an ordinance and say we wanna enforce this baby, you know. It's, there's a lot of things here, so hopefully you understand that, you know, we're not just picking on people.
What is the cost to hook up? Anybody, I mean, what is it roughly?
The SAC fee is $49.50. And then
Water and sewer?
just for the sewer.
Just the sewer.
And then the water would be, if they want to hook up a sewer and a water without digging, just the permits are,
$22.75 for the whack.
and $49.50.
Yeah.
About 7,200, a little bit over.
Okay.
So, very good question. At least you know, at least everybody knows what we're talking about.
Sprinkler system and everything else.
Now, I just overheard something here saying the sprinkler system, you can use your own wells for that.
No, but if
No, we're
they
saying
do it,
if
they
that got
put
dug in, it would go
put it
through
in.
all the
Oh, okay.
system and the
You
whole
know.
works.
But,
Nightmare.
Yep, exactly.
That's on the cost of the city.
Okay, those are, Jim and Pat, those are some really good points that you brought up. Thank you for doing clarification with that. I hope that made it a little bit more understanding, a little bit more clear on kind of where we're going with this. So hopefully that was very informative. So thank you guys for bringing that up. We are still in a public forum. We haven't closed anything yet. Is there anybody else that has any concerns or any questions pertaining to sewer? Anybody else that's here? Okay. All right. Anybody else? Anything during the public forum? Any other questions on sewer? Okay, third and final time. Anything else pertaining to the sewer that we've been talking about here? All right, if not, then at this time I will close the public forum pertaining to this. I would again like to thank everybody for coming to both the public forum and the public hearing. Please make sure that you all did sign in here this evening. That clipboard has been passed around. Again, just like anything else, you can stick around for the remainder of the meeting if you like. We're more than happy to answer any questions, you know, at time when we open things up back towards the end of the meeting. If not, we do appreciate your time. Thank you very much for your concerns. We do want to have these types of informative informational meetings as much as we can. We like to see people come to these. We want to get your inputs. We want to know what your concerns are. We want to be here. This is the reason why that we sit here and all try to make decisions, basically what's best for the city. That's kind of what we're doing here. That's why we're here. We're all taxpayers here too. Every single one of us go through the same thing that you guys do. You know, we gotta pay the whack and sack fees if we're in town. We pay sewer bills, we pay water bills. We all pay property taxes. Okay, all of us do those things here. So we're all trying to work together. We're all trying to make this, you know, a livable and viable city that we all want to continually enjoy. And so we like to have everybody here voicing their opinions, which we appreciate immensely. So thank you. Pat, you have a question?
yes, I was just to have these people know that there is a outcome or not. When do you plan on having a timetable to address this again?
When do you think, Marty?
Be the December televised meeting.
It'll be the next December televised meeting, yeah. So that'll be on the 3rd of December, correct? Is the next televised one? Right? Okay, so the 3rd of December,
So
Pat.
tentatively, we're definitely gonna, and if you want to see the agenda, it will be on the agenda.
Right.
It gives people an idea of what's going on.
All right, great. Okay. Thank you very much for coming. Did you have a question, or did you?
I did. I was,
Okay.
a question kind of on revenue and the cost of sewer and water. Did you have an average estimate of what sewer and water costs a household?
I don't have that available now. If you call the office, I can.
You can
get
call
it
the
for you.
office. Marty can get that for you. Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right, well, thank you very much, everybody, for attending. Please drive safe. Drive safe. Please walk safe also, too. It's a little slick out there.
Yes, you too.
Okay.
Pat, was it something you said? They're all getting up and leaving. Come on.
Thanks, Gary.
You seem to like it.
Yeah. I've been not waiting a long time.
Hey, we don't have,
They're out there.
no, we don't have this report. Their home's on the agenda. Is he here for a report?
Oh, okay. Yes, he is. Eric, did Chris give me the report?
He gave it to me.
Oh, good. You can,
We'll put him under F. I'll put him under F.
are you in a hurry?
Okay.
Am I? Holy Hannah here, I'm dying.
City engineer.
All right, now we are gonna continue with the meeting. Under number 8, we have department reports. The first on the agenda is our city engineer.
What's that?
On your reformer.
In a minute. First of all, thank you. Good evening. If you don't know, the gentleman off to my left is Mr. Dave Blomel. Dave and I have been working together for about 10 years, and he's going to become your new city engineer. You all heard the news, and just kind of moving on, taking a different position within SEH. That's kind of why I joined SEH 10 years ago, is because the opportunities that this company presents, and Richmond was one of those. It was one of those opportunities. About a month after I started with SEH, I started as city engineer for Richmond. Since then, I think 6 mayors later, 3 administrators later, about 1,000 council meetings and other things, and here we are today. So it's truly been a great honor serving the city. No doubt about it. Very proud to serve the city. We did a lot of projects together, and very appreciative of really all that. There's one story I'd like to share with you that I think might summarize some of this up just a little bit. And I'm not going anywhere, by the way. Dave's office is still going to remain 15 feet from my office. I'm still going to live 4 miles away from here as well. But just a quick story. I know you have a long meeting here tonight, but one of those kind of crossroads moments in your life. This is certainly one of them, but one of the crossroads in my life was I grew up on a ranch, and we raised beef cows, and they had calves in the spring, and that's how my parents made a living. And one day when I was home on a weekend and during college at Easter, one was having trouble having a calf. And so I was volunteered at 2 o'clock in the morning by my dad to help this certain calf get unstuck. You had to, basically what you had to do is one leg coming out, you had to push it back in, grab the other leg, and get it up. And I was volunteered for this for several reasons, which I won't name. But during this process, my arm was up you know where, and there's actually a second hole where raw sewage can come out. And that decided to blow like a leaf blower into me. And I looked at my dad like, I just can't believe that just happened. And he looked at me and said, well, it makes you want to study a little bit harder in college, doesn't it? And so apparently I wasn't applying myself as well as I should have in college, and he noticed this, and my grades got continually better after that. But it was definitely a defining moment in my life to make a change and to move on. And, you know, being a city engineer, there are some moments where you do feel like you're getting nailed by a leaf blower every once in a while. But then there's some really great moments as well, and we've done some really great moments. I can think of several projects that have really done some great improvements for the city. I know that the council has taken some heat on some of those projects. But in the end, at the end of the day, you look back and you look at those projects, you know, that made our city better, and I'm proud to be a part of that. So with that, again, I don't think you're going to see there's really not a huge transition plan that we have to work out. Dave's been helping me on several of the last projects in Richmond, and is extremely familiar with the projects and with staff. So I see this as a really clean, easy transition. The city hires SEH. They don't hire the specific person, although I've obviously taken on that role. But again, I think Dave's going to do a great job, and I'm not going to be far away if he has questions or history that needs to be talked about or whatever. So anyway, I thank you very much, and just wanted to kind of pass the torch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Randy, on behalf of the city, thank you very much for all your hard work. You really made a lot of our projects run smoothly. You've worked up and beyond the call of duty for some of the things that we needed to look at and take care of. And obviously without your help and SEH and stuff, we wouldn't really be able to do some of the projects we have done. So we appreciate it. I think we're going to be in good hands, I think, with David. But we appreciate your time and effort, and thank you so much for everything. So
thanks a lot. I appreciate that. I appreciate staff treating me like staff, and I ask you to do that with Dave, and we'll do well. So thank you very much.
all right, thanks, Randy.
Thanks, Randy.
Thanks, Randy.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, David. Welcome, David.
And welcome also. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along here, we've got a couple written reports that I will briefly summarize here with the parks and arena. You have in front of you, I'll just kind of read what's been going on a little bit with that. Kevin wrote the arena ice season is moving along well. The new staff had their training and is working as scheduled. Returning staff hit the ground running. We're excited for the new season. The ice went in okay, so looks like everything is up and operational there. They did have a couple mechanical things that they needed to take care of. That looked like the furnace was needing a little bit of repair. There was a freezer that was losing some temperature, but they got those things fixed and repaired on time for the upcoming season. Replaced a front wall pack lighting, and also replacing the bottom panel of the Zamboni garage door, which was damaged over time due to ice and snow buildup. Right now, Randy said that the youth hockey programs are going, the figure skating, girls high school, girls high school are skating, boys high school starts up soon, followed by the return of broomball and SJU and Emerald. So there's a lot of things going on in the arena right now, obviously, as you drive by. So it's kind of coming at us fast and furious out there. So it's good to see that arena is being used, and there's a lot of people participating. The parks obviously are closed. They've been all winterized. So Centennial Park Lions and the Royals ballparks all been shut down. So everything is all taken care of there. In the AMC, the Oktoberfest concert was not very successful. The event itself was well put together. We had a very good bands, lots of food and beverage options. Really did a fine job promoting it. Posters, cable, radio, it wasn't attended very well. So that was something that the AMC needs to look into a little bit for the upcoming next year. I'm also part of that committee, so we are having a meeting here tomorrow night at the arena at 6 o'clock to discuss moving forward with the AMC and also moving forward with the Oktoberfest and what we can do as committee members to make that a successful event. The trails, the last meeting was Thursday, November 6th in Rockville. All documents were finalized with the county and the state for the fiscal agreements. The county has agreed to help fund the project with about $92,000. That again is the next stage of the bike trail. Okay, so that's the one that's going to be going through phase 3, right?
Phase 2.
Phase 2. Phase 2. Phase 2. Pardon me. Phase 2. Okay, and then the next meeting for that for the trails is on December 4th. Okay, so that's just Kevin's report. Anybody have any questions on that at all? Okay, moving right along, the water and sewer report. From Chad, looks like everything, let's see, says finished exercising valves, flushing hydrants, pumped down the hydrants, and drainage through the results of the lead and copper testing, all samples passed. Other than that, looks like just some general maintenance that had to be going on during this time. Looked like everything is running up and operationally smooth. So that's a good thing. So no major problems happening at all out there with the waste treatment plant or the water. So moving right along, we're going to go to the streets department with Gordy. Mr. Gordy Dingman.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Gordy.
Gordy?
You know, I was just thinking of Randy when he was doing his little speech up there. I didn't grow up on a farm, but I did have the opportunity of having a leaf blower at me also. With that being said, 2 weeks ago I had a vacation, and I've been struggling ever since to get kind of caught up. We did get caught up a little bit today, and hopefully by the end of the week I will be totally caught up. As far as streets are concerned, I've got all the sweeping that was done. We put in some extra hours last week, the streets were swept. I did not get the catch basins vacuumed for the leaves before the snow flies. So we're going to try working on getting some of those things cleaned up. After listening to the forecast on Sunday, I got the trucks all ready to go for plowing. Monday, I got to work. Of course, it was snowing all day long. We got to work, and I've been just basically keeping the main stuff open, Central Avenue, the fire hall, things like that. About 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I started plowing snow. I finished up basically about 10:30 at night. With all the heavy snow, and everybody knows that when you're shoveling this stuff, you had a bear of a time to push it with a shovel, or even your blower was plugging up. The truck has the same problem. When you got that heavy snow, what basically I had to do is, I couldn't use the wing. What I did is I basically drove north and south, east and west, and then I left it lay until it cooled down a little bit because I could not turn a corner. I couldn't make the corners. It just pushed straight. So Tuesday morning, I was up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I started plowing again, and that's when I started going around the blocks and start pulling the intersections in. I did notice the markers, people had put out their lawn markers so I don't rip up people's yards, and they worked out just great except for one. I think what had happened is I talked to the homeowner, or I called the homeowner today, and I'm waiting for his call back. But I'm thinking what happened is somebody moved his markers and I ripped up his yard pretty good. So I got a call to that guy. Another thing was people are blowing snow out onto the road. After I got everything all cleaned up, what happens is when they blow the snow onto the road, that stuff freezes and it just gets to be a hard chunk. So our streets are starting to do this stuff when you start blowing the stuff out on the road. Another thing I noticed was people are pushing snow across the roads and into people's yards on the opposite side of the street. That's another thing is where it's kind of hard for me when I come through with the truck. What'll happen is that bank is so hard the truck will actually hit up the wing and it'll actually slide the truck sideways. So that's another thing.
Gordy, do you mind if I interject something? I don't want to throw you off track. Mr. Mayor and Council, I got a call today that, what Gordy is saying, people are throwing snow into the street, and he comes by and plows it, and where does that go? Into the neighbors. That neighbor's not very happy. If I'm not mistaken, it's a misdemeanor to throw leaves or snow or debris into a city street.
Okay.
And I think we'll talk about it, but enforce that. I don't think it's right for a neighbor to shovel out his own driveway and then the next neighbor throws his snow into the street and he comes by and replugs up the other neighbor.
Yeah. It does, you know, all in all, it works out pretty great, pretty good. And I just brought these things up to light because it's a televised meeting. We try our darndest, between Kevin, myself, and Greg was out in the truck this week with me because I had a lot of hours in. So he was out with the small truck and cleaning up some stuff. And Kevin was out with the skid loader trying to do whatever he could do with the skid loader also. And with this heavy snow, we had 14 inches, 13 inches of snow. It all depends upon where you're at. There's some streets that have 3 feet of snow in it. You got over by Chad Volk over in 2nd Street North. That had 3 feet of snow in it, you know, so you have a pile of snow. But another thing I kind of put together is questions. Some of the people, throughout the time I've been doing this for 8 years, and these are things or questions where people kind of come and ask or brought to my attention. Why are you marking some yards and not some other yards? What I did there is I went around this year and every other year is I will start marking hazards in the street. So if there's a curb, for an example, a square curb, I'll mark that corner out so when I come around the corner I'm not going to break that truck. Or if I'm coming down a street where it does not have curb and gutter and I run into a street where it does have curb and gutter, I'll mark that curb and gutter the next street. So that's kind of how I do that. The next question was, why does Gordy drive by so often with the plow truck? Okay, that truck I can set that truck basically up for 12 foot, 14 foot, 16 or 18 foot widths. Our streets are anywhere between 22 and 33 feet wide. What happens is, like this snowstorm, I only could go north and turn around, come back south, go to the next block, north, south, north, and keep going until I get them all done and then go the other way, east and west. Because I couldn't make the corners, I couldn't turn. Sometimes I can turn the corner and I can just keep right on going the block and keep right on going. But then when you got a wider street, I got to hit that street 3 times. So therefore I got to drive by again, and then again, and again. Next question was,
Gordy, they're gonna wanna know why can't you make the corner?
I can't make the corner because if I got 11-foot blade in the front, a 9-footer on the side of the truck. So it's 20 feet of blade. When you turn to the right, you're pulling that 20 feet of snow with you as you go around the corner. And what happens is, when you got 20 feet and you got a narrower street, you're taking all the snow from Joe over on this side, you're taking it all the way across and putting it over on this side of the street. When that snow is heavy like that, I can't do that.
So it's the weight of the snow.
Just the weight of the snow. So that brings the next question. Why is it that I don't have a set route? For that simple reason. If I set route, and I jot some things down here, I do kind of have a route, but it's not a set route. For an example, priority 1 is the fire hall. I try keeping the front of the fire hall open throughout the day and at night. Schools, we try getting that stuff cleaned up. Church, we try getting that area cleaned up. If there's no mass, no, it won't be a priority. But if it is mass or a funeral, we try hitting that. Cherrywood Assisted Living, we try taking care of that one. Central Avenue, Post Office, we try taking care of that stuff. Those are the things that we try to do, keep them open throughout the day as the snowstorm keeps going. Once the snowstorm stops and I can start plowing, then I will go out of the shop, go around the 2nd Street, go up past school, and start making my rounds. And I won't do it always the same way, for the simple fact is who's going to be the first one and who's always going to be the last one. And if my plow truck or our plow truck goes around the corner by Ernie, for an example, if I come past his street, and his street is a little wider of a street, and if I continue to go by there and keep turning around the corner, well, the one side of his house is going to have everything, the other side of the house ain't going to have nothing. Or Ed Wolf won't have nothing at all. So that's kind of how I do that, so I can start mixing it up. And that's how I do that. So that's kind of like what we're kind of like doing with the street stuff. I did get behind a little bit, but tomorrow I will be getting in the skid loader, We'll be blowing some snow, Chad and I will be blowing some snow, and cleaning up some other intersections and some streets. It's just got to be too much, too fast, and away we go, so.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I think referring to the one about a set schedule or route is that way people can estimate going to work or going to the daycare or whatever, saying that, well, when I see him on First Street, it's normally 20 minutes before or 25 minutes before he comes back here. It would definitely help the residents or the taxpayer to know roughly when you're going to be, because they have lives to live too. And, you know, the thing is, I've had that question 3 times in the last 2 days. Why isn't there, does he do the avenues first and the streets second or whatever? And I just told him to call the city hall here, but it would really be nice to have saying, yes, we take care of this one's priority, and have a that way too, if they do have an emergency, they know First Street, Main Street, whatever is open. That's the first thing that's open. If you can't make it by down there, don't even try. That's the question about a set route.
And, you know, like the set route is, like I say, we can set up a set route, but it all depends upon when it stops snowing, what day of the week it is, what, you know, I'm just trying to do my best as to how this all works. If there's a funeral in the morning, I gotta clean up at church. And I can't say that, tell these people at the daycare that they're gonna be waiting. I don't know how to do that, because I watch what's kind of going on at church, I watch what goes on in school, so we do those things, you know, first, and if there's a funeral or even like getting in the cemetery, we take care of the cemetery too. So if we don't have to get in there, I won't do it unless we have to get in there. But the set route thing, we can write down the priorities, what we're actually taking care of here. And there was a time when there was somebody that was always sick, and that place was a priority. I made that a priority because my page was going off. So yeah, absolutely. I know exactly what you're saying. So
I think in fairness too, we have over 640 some residents in town and businesses. If we got 3 complaints today,
yeah,
that's less than 0.5%. I mean, typically if people are upset, they call. I had one irate caller on voicemail today. You know, it isn't that we're trying to upset anybody, but the same token, we had 600 plus people who must have been happy.
I mean, you hauled out, what, 200 and some loads of snow today, or what was it?
Well, Garrican started, and there was another question on here, why does it take so long to clean Main Street? I kind of felt sorry for those guys. They started at 9 o'clock last night, and they were still going at 11 o'clock this morning. And what happened was that stuff was so miserable that they had to take a crowbar and knock it out of their bucket. They weren't going to bang their bucket on tar, but they were literally taking shovels and scooping that stuff all out. And when I brought the story down to some of the guys that did this for a long time, they said there was one time when Ralph Garrican had a backhoe sitting out by the Royals Park, and they backed the truck up, and he took the backhoe and he scratched it out of the back of the truck so they can go again. You know, this was just like Smith.
Yeah.
And every situation is going to be different.
Right. I thought they did a good job of considering all.
Absolutely.
They did a wonderful job.
It's a lot of hard work, you know, especially when a big one like this catches us, you know, off guard a little bit, caught everybody off guard. So, but I think you did a great job, Gordy.
Yep.
You know, underneath the circumstances, no question about it. Marty.
Mr. Mayor and Council, you give me the authority to run the day-to-day operations of this city. Do you have an opinion? Tell me. If you're not responsible for the day-to-day, I am. Do you have a suggestion? If you want a route, we'll look at it. But I need you guys to say something, direction, if you want to give me direction.
I definitely, for the people that have called me, definitely would help to have a route. You know, this is the route we go by unless other items come up, such as a funeral or whatever.
Right. But I think you'd have to put some type of stipulation in there too, that, to something to the point where could be subject to change per whatever.
As long as they have an idea that if once, talk about even, okay, let's say they have to go around a certain business or a certain the church or whatever for some reason. Then you get to the route. The route says that you do, you know, First Street North first or Second Street first or whatever.
I kinda liked it that I'm not always gonna be the last one on the list,
But
right, or not?
Yeah, could be.
it could be.
Could be.
Or get all the snow.
Go ahead, Ken.
Cam?
The only thing I wanted to maybe kind of jump in and say is, if you go and make a set schedule, a set route, you're gonna have more PO people at the end of the day. You're gonna start getting more complaints, well, he was supposed to be here at this time and I saw him over there, and we're dealing with Mother Nature here. You know, I just think you're opening up a big can of worms.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Tammy, for your, okay. Something to consider. I think maybe we need to have a little bit more discussion about it, Gordy. Something that we might look at to consider. Okay?
Yeah, I guess-
It might be something you can propose to us and we can take a look at it and
Well,
see if
I
it's
say,
something that.
these
that
are the
we can-
things that, these are the things that I had,
Perfect.
I brought it up and I'm thinking that's what we should, I'd still like to go with yet, you know, because it's,
Sounds good. All right. Anything else, Gordy?
that's it.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time.
Thank you. Thank you
And
for
your hard
your
work
work
the
today.
last couple days. All right, we're gonna move right along here, folks. For the fire department, Chuck is not here tonight, so I'm gonna read his report. You should have a copy of it in front of you. Calls for the month of November, rescues and medicals, they had 3. Fires, mutual aid fire call, they had 1, and calls for the month, a total of 4. Our training for November was part of our Medical 44 plan training. We went through different emergencies, boarding, collaring, patient care, did a few scene scenarios, worked on different scenes and medical issues. In October, we did fire prevention program with both schools. We also did Operation, is that supposed to be Edith?
Edith.
Edith? Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know what that.
Emergency drill in the home.
Thank you, Pat. In conjunction with the fire prevention program, we did the Halloween trick or treat up to the fire hall for the 2nd year. It was very well received by the public. I had quite a few families there. The kids enjoyed the interaction with the fire department. Most people have heard about the Ebola disease. A few faxes only spread through direct contact with body fluids. A person with Ebola is most infectious at later stages. The risk of catching this in the early stage is very low. Time for exposure to signs and symptoms can be from 2 to 21 days. For more information, you can go to their website. It's www.cdc.gov/Ebola or Ebola. It's being tracked by the county EMS system. Members attended the pre-hospital trauma review conference. Lots of good information was brought back to the department and shared. 2 of our new members are be going through firefighting starting in December, pardon me. Our 3rd member already had went through the course. Does anybody have any questions or anything pertaining to the report? If not, we're moving right along here. And obviously this is not on the department, on our agenda, but we do have our police officer here this evening to give us a report. So, Mr. Jason.
Here,
Sorry about that, guys.
Here.
I let Chris took care of it.
here, you said Jason.
Oh, did I? I'm sorry. Sorry. God, I didn't say that. Sorry about that. Go ahead and see him.
Thank you.
Alright.
You go ahead, I think, I apologize, Mr. Mayor and Council, I'm pretty sure Chris told me that he'd have an officer coming and I neglected to get it on the agenda.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's fine.
So he just made up a couple things for July and August. If you look at July, we had 99 total incidences, 9 medical emergencies, 6 of the medicals were dealing with intoxicated individuals, 4 suspicious vehicles reports, 34 traffic stops, 32 warnings, and 25 citations. And 52 miscellaneous calls for pre-service incidences. There were 3 alcohol violations, 1 being a DUI. There were 8 drug-related violations, with 1 being a felony arrest. There were also 6 open doors located by officers on routine patrol. We also dealt with several reports of individuals reporting items missing from their vehicles
which had been left unlocked. The month of August, we had 94 total incidences, 7 medicals, emergencies, 7 suspicious people, vehicles, 40 traffic stops, 32 warnings, 28 citations, 47 miscellaneous calls for police-related incidences. There were 4 alcohol violations, with 1 being a DUI. There were 5 drug-related violations, with 1 being a felony arrest. Officers responded to 4 alarms. We also dealt with a reported burglary, which was quickly resolved by the investigating officer, which resulted in a conviction already. I think that was our ballpark. Pretty sure.
Okay.
Examining the first half of the 2014, 64 incidences in January, February is 56, March 63, April 71, May 82, and 53 for the month of June. In the first 6 months, there was a total of 389 incidences in the city of Richmond. Last year, we had a grand total of 667 incidences. I guess speaking on, we'll go off a little bit off this list. I can speak for myself as I know we dealt with the plowing across the snow, across the street with Wakefield. When do you send out newsletters? Do you guys,
Once a quarter.
so that wouldn't be until at the end of this month.
I don't know if she's sending one out in December or not. I can talk to her.
Maybe we could do that. I know we can work with Gordy. I work days, so I can talk to Gordy and just go knock and talk. Most of the time, it's not too big of an issue with them. They don't even realize it. You know, we deal with it in Cold Spring. Like I said, Wakefield was more of an issue because the plow truck was going at a high rate of speed, and actually would flip them in the street. So, not a big deal. Questions, comments? Maybe I can answer.
When you leave tonight, could you go down Central by the Pavilion parking lot? Apparently I got a call, there's a car snowed in there.
Talked to Kevin about that. We had a complaint today about car parked in the parking lot.
Yeah, it's in there. Yep.
You know, I have to talk to Mooney about that. Mooney can tow it. We can't. As an officer, I can't because it is on private property. It is not marked, no parking. I went over there this morning, right before the meeting, I went over to the house to try and it was black yet. Nobody's home. So it doesn't look like it was there for the whole storm because there is no 13 inches of snow on it. It just looks like they parked it after. I don't know. So I'm gonna run back there after this meeting and go see if I can make contact and get it moved.
Okay. That'd be great. I think just maybe to the public, you know, with those concerns, some particular properties, you know, that are in and around the city, you know, are not necessarily, even though they don't have a no parking sign there, they're really not designated as a free parking area for somebody just to put their car and either, you know, walk to their home or whatever that may be. So, you know, obviously we're giving you an opportunity to be able to look at moving that particular car at this time. And so if you can, we really would appreciate it. So.
And another word to note is that you guys do have ordinances about parking on the street for Gordy. And we normally find Gordy in the middle of the night and say, hey, what do you got? You need anything? Need a vehicle moved? Need a vehicle ticketed? I think it was last year when we went down Main Street and we went into every business because Main Street was being plowed at the time. And so we had to ask everybody that was parked on Main to get their cars off. So we do work with them. And we worked with Gherkins last night because apparently out on Main Street, cars are trying to get around the loader when he's trying to fill up a truck. And it's like,
really?
Wake up, people. You can't drive around this big equipment.
Right.
It's just too large of equipment. It's going to hit you right in the face is where the bumper will come.
Did we have any cars on Main Street during plowing? We did not. Good.
So
That's a good thing.
I'm really actually real pleased with that ordinance that we passed and those signs out on Main Street. We don't have an issue with that at all.
Great.
Not at all.
Hey, so we work together. We tried.
Yep.
Well, here's a prime example. This little piece of paper here was in my box here. It was Angie, and it was one of the police officers was doing his patrols, and it basically had said there's 2 hydrants that don't have the reflective red posts on them, which is over by 7th Street and 1st Street. Now, if you guys look in your bills, we've actually got bill from Henry's Waterworks where we were gonna extend these 2 hydrants, make them up a little bit higher before we put these antennas on there. That's on our to-do list. I didn't quite get that thing done yet, but at least they noticed that those antennas or those whips weren't on there. So that was part of the report. And like I say, that is where our communication is.
Great.
Good job.
Yeah, we do work with each other, you know, there's a light on the lift station, which I've called Gordy in the middle of the night saying, hey,
Yep.
you know, the lift station's on.
Speaking about that, 2nd Street Northeast, there's a hydrant too, it's only about 1.5 feet high, I'm sure it's not there anymore.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Pat. There's 3 hydrants that we wanted to extend. So I got parts for that. I picked it up last week from Henry's, so we should have the bill for that.
That should have been probably, that bill should be into that grant area, or how much that trail cost. Because basically they filled in because of that.
I understand that, but that's not my, I just fix.
Anything else?
No. Anybody else have any questions on the council at all? Eric, so, okay.
All right, thank you.
Great,
guys.
thank you so much, Eric, for
Yes,
coming tonight.
thank you.
Appreciate all your help like you guys do, so.
Have a good night, guys.
Yep, you got it.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along to council reports. Under the letter A, we have the EDA. Next meeting is tomorrow night, November 13th at 6:30 PM at the maintenance building. Pat, do you want to add anything to that on what the EDA's been talking about?
Basically, we've been working hard on our 3 projects, the funding.
Funding?
Basically, the revolving loan fund, the improvements of your fascias or the fronts of buildings, and the other one is Lydia's pet project of being the
BRE.
BRE, the business retention plan type thing.
Right.
So we're still working on all that, just mention out there to any business or anybody that owns commercial property, there's still money available for the enhancement fund. It's a 50-50 forgivable loan over 3 years, so maximum is $1,500. So you can do a $3,000 project for $1,500, but you have to fill out the application. Whether this goes on next year or not, you better put in your application now. There is some money available for that, yeah.
Yep.
Other than that, we haven't had a meeting since the last.
Right, we have
council
not,
meeting,
yep,
so.
you're exactly right, so. All right, great, thank you very much, Pat. On to letter B, the Planning Commission. The next meeting for the Planning Commission is on November 20th, 2014. That is at 6 PM here at City Hall.
Josh is on it if he wants to.
Josh, you wanna come up and talk about the Planning Commission meeting?
at the last meeting.
You were not at the last meeting, that's right. And actually, and I was, yeah, taken into my hands right now. I'm trying to think what I
Verified the maps.
We have,
verified the maps, yes, that was the one thing we were working on, yeah.
we had public hearing with Cynthia Smith-Stratford.
Yes, it's Mr. Rack, pardon me, and we just had some verifications of actually our city maps is what we had, and she had an opportunity to be able to go over those. So we will probably do some further discussing with that, because I think there was a couple things in question that we needed to look at. And
It's
she
done
needed to
now.
look-
That's the completed-
And that is the complete one right up there, that is the new one.
Yeah.
So for people at home, if you want to come into City Hall, that actually is the new plotted map for the city of Richmond, along with some surrounding areas and some properties. And they're actually color coded, so it gives you an idea on what's considered residential, industrial, and then what's the other ones up there, agricultural, and light industrial, commercial. What else, Jim? Anything else I'm missing? I'm colorblind actually, so I gotta look at this a little closer.
It's okay.
It's okay. All right, so anyways, that's what we were discussing, okay? Tri-City Cable, anything with Tri-City Cable?
Brad?
Brad, you obviously are the one that's here. Jeff is out.
We've got new broadcast equipment that's being installed as we speak. Hopefully next week we'll be up and running.
All right, great. So there's some new equipment for that. That's wonderful. Tim.
I have a question for Brad. I know a couple of people asked me that I keep seeing the temperature on channel 10 being 73 degrees, and
Yeah. That's one of the reasons we're buying new equipment. It doesn't understand it anymore.
And it sure wasn't 73
No,
degrees.
no, it wasn't. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Hopefully we'll be accurate pretty quick.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, no other questions on that. Moving on to letter D, RTCV. The next meeting is December 4th, 2014 at 9 a.m. at Rockville City Hall. Tim?
Yeah, we had a meeting November 6th, and Kevin kind of went over a few of the things and got some agreement and worked with the county and things like that. But also, SEH now is giving us kind of a monthly project report, which I think is really good. It kind of gives us an idea. I know, Marty, I think we all kind of agreed that was really something that was very helpful. So we kind of know and get an idea of how this thing is going along, dates, time. That was something I thought was really helpful for us to get from SEH. But well, like I said, we got some more funding that we're trying to finish up. So.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Tim at all? Okay, moving right along, Stearns County Municipal League meeting held on October 21st, 2014. Did anybody attend that?
I did.
Jim, thank you.
The biggest item that was brought up, the county commissioners have agreed to, that when the sentence for serve people come out, they're gonna be charging $100 every time they come out. So if you have them 3-4 times, it's gonna cost you $100 every time they come to your city to help. Part of that stemming from which was what they classified as some of the cities do real well with using them and some cities don't, and they're the ones that they're gonna make everybody pay to use them now because they're sending the people out and sometimes they don't do any work because the place isn't ready for them, and then they virtually sent them out and now they get sent back, and it they've had too many of those times and not enough of the times. Like, I know when Kevin has them out here, they do a real good job. I mean, they work when they're here, but they've had issues in other places that they haven't done any work when they've gone out because they aren't ready for them, and yet they still show up. So it's kind of a checks and balances thing. And they look at it as a source of income, which isn't a lot, because that was the heated argument about, they're looking at, if they would have charged last year, I think they came up with $19,000 they would have taken in for the whole year from the program. And the whole program, I believe, is $265,000 is what the actual program cost them to run them out for a year. At least those are numbers that the commissioners were throwing out for us.
The program's gonna stay though.
It'll still be there, but you're gonna pay in order to get them to come out.
I thought they took it off the 2015 budget.
If you're gonna want them, you're gonna pay for them to come out.
Okay.
That was my understanding when we were done, that was what their intention was. If you're gonna ask to have them come out, it's gonna be $100. That was the minimum. At least that was my understanding. They haven't passed it at the time yet, but that was what they were leaning towards doing.
Okay. And that's $100 per time, correct?
If they come out 5 days in a row, it's gonna cost you $100 every day they come out.
Got it. Okay.
So, at least that's the way I understood what the conversation was.
Okay.
It kinda got a little silly after a while, cause, there was a lot of cities that use them quite a bit, and they weren't too happy about having to pay for them now, versus,
It's maybe something we'll have to address and look into, maybe for next year, on how we're gonna go about maybe doing that if we need them.
Kevin's here, he can speak to it. I mean, it's an important program for.
What am I speaking to?
Once you're done coughing, the Stearns County Sentence to Serve, I was going to state that it's an important program to you.
Yeah, it's a bummer. It really is, because we use them a lot. As it stands right now, it doesn't look like it's coming back next year, and the program's getting smaller and smaller, and crews are getting smaller, and the amount of people they have participating is just shrinking, and they're just phasing it out, and it's too bad because we use them all over the place.
Yeah. We've had pretty good success with the ones that we've had here. Majority of the
there
time,
are just certain jobs you don't let them do. You don't let them paint.
Yeah.
You know, but they're good with a broom and a mop and a wet rag and a wall or a shovel or, you know, something like that, yeah. No, manpower is what it is.
Putting boards in?
Putting boards in, taking boards out, putting the turf in, taking the turf out. I don't know how I'd do some of that stuff without them, to tell you the truth, so.
Yeah.
You know, takes an army.
Weren't we gonna ask the council if they would volunteer to help?
Yeah, well, I think you volunteered them. I don't think we're gonna ask, I think we're just gonna send out a memo.
It starts at the city administrator first.
Starts from the top, goes down, remember that.
Well, in all fairness, that's what we'd have to do. We'd ask people in town to help.
Well, we would have to actually, if the push came to shove with something like that, yes, we would definitely have to look at volunteers, and look at, hopefully having some citizens come and help.
Sure.
Needed, so.
Use the groups that use our facilities too. Soccer group. will put
Yeah,
them
you
to
bet, exactly. Okay. All right, great, thanks, Kevin. No other questions on that? All right, moving right along here to number 10, the request for council action. Under the letter B, you have in front of you is the Canvas 2014 election results. Consideration of resolution 191-14. It's a resolution approving the 2014 election results. Did everybody get an opportunity to be able to take a look at that? And that was actually coming from the results from the election from November of 4th at here in the city of Richmond. So we were voting for mayor at the time, and we were also voting for 2 members on the city council, along with the Painesville Area Hospital District. Does anybody have any questions at all pertaining to these numbers at all? Anybody have a chance to read this?
I just would like to know, why is it under B and not A?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good
Could
question.
you have asked me that question when I sent out the packet?
Yeah, it should have been.
I didn't notice it until now.
You might have had the.
Page down below under other concerns and matters, I guess, maybe, yeah.
Under the public hearing, your council action, consideration of the ordinance.
Oh, I moved that up there. That's what it is. Good for you, Jim.
Okay.
I had it down under request for council action, that other one. So,
All right.
all right. Thanks, Pat.
For canvassing the election, the machine tested out good to start with and finish.
Yep.
Then there's no question, make a motion to, well, we're gonna do all the resolutions at one time, or what?
No, individually.
Individually.
Make a motion to accept the canvass of elections according to numbers presented.
Have a motion on the table from Pat. Looking for a second.
I'll second it.
Second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Moving along to letter C, resolution 192-14. It is resolution certifying unpaid municipal fees and utility charges against the properties. Obviously, everybody should have a copy of that in front of you. It's pertaining actually something that was sent out to notification to the people on some money that is still out and needs to be taken care of and paid for by them. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
You have an updated resolution on your table. The one in your packet is old. And as I ask you to approve of this resolution with the understanding if somebody comes in tomorrow, we're gonna strike them off of it. Or if they come in prior to the 15th of November, we'll remove their names.
The 15th of November,
Okay.
which is what day?
Friday.
Saturday.
Saturday.
So,
So if it's paid by Friday, we're okay.
You bet.
okay, perfect.
We won't add anybody to this list, but with your permission, we'll remove them if they pay.
Clarification on this list though,
Yes.
Marty, is this as of, or prior to the bill I got yesterday?
This is the past due, not the current portion.
Okay, that's what I'm saying, that it doesn't, it's not the part that came out the last day or two on top of this yet, that's what you're telling me?
Right.
Okay.
And everybody on this list was notified?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions or any concerns pertaining to resolution 192-14? If not, I am looking for a motion for
If
this.
it does go on taxes, is that payable in for 1 year?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because we got about $5,000 here, 5,500.
Yeah, right.
I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a motion on the table by Jim.
Second that.
We have a second by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Moving on to letter D, resolution 193-14, waiving the past due utility fees at 25th 5 Main Street West. Sorry about that. Marty, do you want to elaborate on that, please?
Mr. Mayor and Council, it's been a acknowledgement that this council would be willing to consider waiving those utility fees in order to get it back on the tax roll and get on a viable business in there. I think what I'd like to ask you is to review the last paragraph of furthermore. There are 3 special assessments on this property that have still not been paid. The first one is the 2007 wastewater treatment plant. That original assessment was $49.50. There's a balance of $4,800.30. There's the most recent 2013 Main Street project that was just placed on that property last year. The whole balance of $46.50 is still due. And then there's the 2005 water tower assessment of the original assessment amount was $500. There's $312.31 left. In the last sentence there, I'm suggesting for your consideration to allow the potential new buyer to have these assessments placed on the tax roll at 12, 6, and 1 year respectively, because that's the timeline that's left from the original assessment. I thought that would be a fair thing for you to consider doing.
So basically, you're letting them have the original time period
Yeah.
of each assessment?
Yes. Not the original amount of time, but the time left.
The time that's left, or the time, the sunset of it.
We are only waiving the water and the sewer utility charges that's currently showing here of this amount already.
Yes.
The question I have, has this property been, somebody came forward and wants to buy this?
That's why you're being asked to act on it now.
Well, the reason
A prospective buyer could be out there, huh?
Yes. They approached the city and asked if I would bring this to your attention and ask for your approval.
Like I mentioned to you before, it would really been interesting to have the people here request it in person, but if you're doing it in their light, I guess that's...
Because I say that too, because I know I have some people that have, in the past keeps asking, say, well, I'd always be interested in that property if that water was waived. And I've heard that from, I can almost tell you about at least a handful of people, and I guess I kind of look at it saying, well, do we want to open this up and maybe notify people, let them know that this property is a possibility of this?
They know that, in all fairness. Anytime anybody's ever called this office and asked about those assessments, we've told them the council would consider waiving those utility fees. We've made that known, we've made it known on camera.
Just to be fair to everybody, when would this go up in auction again? Any idea?
I think next spring.
And as normally March or when?
I think,
I guess, I'm not sure if it's on an exact date or anything like that, but yeah, sometime in March, April, I don't know. But
I mean, I don't want to slow down anybody, but I want everybody to get a fair chance to shake at it.
And
That's what I'm
saying.
after.
I'm saying the same thing.
Everybody, this property's been for sale for years.
well, those auctions are noticed. I mean, it's
Right.
It's not.
So it's going to come up through an auction. That's where it's going to
It comes up through an auction, and
Okay.
Well,
No,
this
this is
person,
not
if they match the price at the county, they can walk away with it.
They can
This
buy it.
is, if you pass this tonight, they may close on this in the next week or two.
And, the nice thing, again, too, we've all been kind of looking at, continually is, as a city, is, we want to continually look at being, proactive. We want to look at, bringing, new types of businesses or new businesses here in town. We have a particular property that obviously for the longest time was vacated and was not being used by anybody. It was trying to be resold multiple times. It was on the market for the longest time and just really no takers. And then decided that, the best bet at the time would be to tear down that particular building. And now we have an open space there, or an empty lot, that's just basically not being used for anything. Now obviously we have an opportunity to be able to turn around and looking at putting something there that could be again a viable business, for our overall Main Street city landscape. So, I feel, it's something that if this particular person that we got interested in this piece of property right now, it just seems like it's been probably the most serious one that we've had available currently right now. I would obviously lean towards accepting, where we're at with I and move forward. So any other opinions? Anybody else on the council that may have towards this? Again, too, we haven't passed this resolution yet at all. It's just something up for discussion. But it sounds like, if we make this happen, hopefully this property should be sold.
I'm all in favor of waiving it, but in the best interest of everybody, I would like to have anybody that is interested in it, and they're gonna watch this on the cable channel, to work and go after it right away. I mean, I hate just waiving something because there could be a sale, or somebody's really interested, and other people probably didn't think that there was a possibility of waiving these utility fees, so I'm trying to equal to everybody if they were interested in it. Yes, I see, Mr. Mayor, I'm 100% with you. Let's fill that up. Let's get some tax revenue. Let's get some water and sewer off of it.
You bet.
Let's get the street paid for in front of it. But on the same token, I definitely want to be fair to all residents.
I agree with you, Pat. I mean, I had one person tell me that he said, when they asked about it, they said, no, it would never be waived. And I'm just speaking for the other person. So, I'm just bringing that as light too, so. I agree, we need to get it back on tax roll. We need to do this, we need to do that. Like I said, I'm just.
If you know what the original goal was, it was to hope that the county would sell it to the city for $1, and then you could grant that property to somebody for $1.
Right.
And then
that was our hope.
Well, that didn't happen.
The other question, if we do eliminate this, and this is probably a legal question, is there any cost to us?
No, for eliminating it, that's fine.
Because basically yearly, didn't it cost us $1 every year to have it, put it back on?
On the tax roll?
Yeah, it doesn't, it's like an assessment if you're paying on your
We
assessment.
pay a fee to start.
We pay a certain fee, $1 or $2 per parcel or whatever. But I was just wondering if there's anything, if we take it off, if there's anything.
I think the fee was $700, and I'm bringing that way out of back of my recesses.
The thing is, as long as you keep the water treatment plant and the Main Street project and the water tower project on it, I mean, at least you're being fair to everybody else that's paying it on Main Street.
Right.
I don't see a problem with waiving the water and sewer part of it, because it's like, if you wanted to go back on the tax roll, we're gonna have to do something where it's gonna sit there for a long time. Because right now, that property's got almost $45,000 worth of assessments against it.
What's it worth? I mean,
And it's not even worth.
What's the assessed value?
$30,000 or $20,000.
They're selling it for $16,000. I think.
okay.
$16,000.
This is what's going on.
But the assessments only have to be satisfied over roughly 12 years.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, we obviously have had some discussion pertaining to this. We're feeling that we would like to move forward, hopefully being able to pass this resolution. So I guess it is still up on the table right now for resolution 193-14, waiving the past due utility fees at 25 Main Street West. So I'm looking for a motion on the table for that.
I'll make that motion.
A motion by Jim. Do I have a second? I will second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
And I would need to roll it.
Okay, so now we're gonna have to do roll. Okay, and in the order currently right now for roll call order, Jeff is not here this evening, so obviously he will not get a vote on this. So per roll call, Pat?
Nay.
Okay. Jim?
Yay.
Mike? Yay. Tim?
Nay.
Nay? Okay. Okay. Alright, so we're at 2 and 2, right, Marty?
Yep. No action then. It fails.
Alright, so at this time,
Since the item is still on the floor, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to address it again.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion that before the next auction, that we look at, once it's being advertised for auction, it cannot be sold prior to it, that's my understanding. That yes, we will do this before the next auction. That gives anybody a fair chance to bid at the auction in case somebody wants to pick up that piece of property at that time.
They won't, I'm almost certain that this individual will not be able to buy this property. They don't have the financing to pay the assessments.
All right, how about?
Well, the auction.
No, I'm sorry.
The auction, either way, they have to come up with roughly the $16,000.
They'll find another building, in some other town or not.
All right, here's what I would like to be able to do with this. Obviously, this particular resolution did not pass this evening, per our vote and per roll call. But I think what I would like to be able to do, and maybe Marty and council will direct us a little bit, I would like to put this resolution back on the table for our workshop for next week. Or the 20th, I'm sorry, pardon me, is next week the 20th or no? Yeah, next week is the 20th, we're gonna be having a workshop. And then I would also like the opportunity for the particular individual that is interested in that piece of property to come in and we could maybe sit and discuss that. Could we leave an open invitation for that person for that? And obviously we could do that, not on camera. So I think I would like to have the person that's interested come in and obviously voice their opinion and basically talk to them, feeling what they want to do with that particular piece of property. Is everybody okay with that? Somebody made that suggestion before.
At least it's an honest way of at least acknowledging that they have 7 days or 8 days to come forward if anybody else wants to do it.
Right.
And they can see it on.
And that's what I was thinking too, Pat, because just in case, like you said, if somebody else is hearing and watching this evening too, and all of a sudden realizing that option may be out there currently right now, and if at one time they were interested in the piece of property, then maybe they would be coming forward also. Okay? So I think let's do that for this evening. All right? Marty?
Yep.
Okay, thanks. All right, we're gonna be moving along to resolution 194-14. This is the approval of the XL construction agreement for light pole on First Street Southwest in Maple.
Southeast.
So, did I say south? I'm sorry, southeast. Back up here. First Street Southeast and Maple. Again, council members, this particular light we've discussed actually when we went out on our little tour of the city, when we were looking over the roads on the condition and the repairs of the roads that are needed in town, and then we found that this particular light would be a good thing to have in the location that we're talking about currently right now. So it looks like XL Energy came up with a cost and a dollar value to be able to go ahead and do this. Marty, do you have any other things you would like to add to this right now?
No, we discussed it on our field trip, and then it was brought up 2 years ago, or a year ago.
Well, almost 2 years we've been.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for a while.
I guess my question is, can they still get it in before the frost charge?
I told them no frost charges.
Oh, that's right.
Now,
Thank you. Forgot about that.
And were they gonna go from west to east, or are they going underground?
From the
I'm just
northeast
reading this, it
corner.
says underground here.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
The difference in the monthly charge is almost double. The monthly fee for above ground is $9 and underground is $18. And I talked to Gordy about it, and he's very strongly feels he doesn't want to see above ground wiring out there. And so he thought it was worth the extra $90-some a year to have it underground.
And I agree, because I live in that area and I see kids, there is a lot of families in that apartment, and they have a tendency of doing kites and everything else on a regular basis over there. And it's probably not a bad idea.
With the discussion, I make a motion to approve resolution 194/14.
Okay, we do have that on the table for Pat. I need a second.
I'll second that.
That's a second by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Letter F, purchase requisitions, allocations, and transfers. Marty?
Nothing.
We have nothing. Okay. Moving on to number 11. Other matters of concern and related matters. Let Letter A, council, November workshop. We do have that coming up here on the 20th at 6:30 PM here at City Hall. Obviously, the one thing that we are gonna be adding to the agenda would be, the resolution, the 193-14, hopefully the open discussion with the particular property owner that is interested. And then also, if somebody else at the time would be interested in that piece of property, we'll hopefully have them here at that same time. Council members, does anybody else have any other concerns or related matters? Pat?
On the council workshop, we're gonna finish up the budget.
The budget gets finalized December 3rd, but it can be on the agenda again.
Just to review the last of it.
Would you like to have it on there?
Just to review it.
All right.
Since it has to be done by, the following week.
I think it'd be fine.
Okay, so let's
Won't
put
take very long to do
That's
that.
just one item.
Okay.
I've got two others.
Okay,
Okay.
keep going.
Just a reminder for the people of Richmond that December 4th, we have tremendous night in Richmond, sponsored by the city and the CNC.
Yep.
It's on a Thursday evening. Come on out, have some fun. I know it's the middle of the week, but we're trying to stretch our weekend a little bit. Probably get the trade before you end up in a metropolitan city or something with all your Black Fridays and all that kind of stuff going on. So everyone's invited December 4th. Come in the afternoon, free hot dogs, and a lot of the different people or the different businesses will have treats out there for you. Other item is the first Monday in December is the first meeting of the Richmond River Lake Days. This year, the Richmond River Lake Days, along with the city of Richmond, is celebrating the 125th birthday of Richmond. And we're looking for all types of ideas. We have about 9 ideas there. If you have any ideas or want to be involved, please show up. We're not going to assign you to a job or anything like this. We're looking at what we can bring to make sure that this is going to be one spectacular type of, possibly up to a week-long celebration of celebrating the 125th birthday of Richmond. So remember that, December 1st, here in the city chambers, 6:30. If you do have ideas and cannot attend, please get a hold of Marty at 597-2075 or myself, 597-3304, and mine's after 6. Marty's during the day. Unless you want to call Marty here after hours, you can leave a message, he'll get back to you, or he'll have Cindy talk to them. We're just after ideas to make things fun, exciting, and then the same week, the 4th, make sure that you come to town for a tremendous evening. Is it tremendous evening or tremendous night in Richmond? Either way, it's going to be tremendous. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for my 2 cents.
Thanks, Pat. All right, anybody else have any matters of concerns at all? Tim, Jim, anybody?
I just want to say the snow crew though, these guys did a wonderful job. I seen a couple of them today, they were just finishing up and they were dogged. They were dog tired, but they did a wonderful job. And for as many loads of snow that they hauled out of here, it was just phenomenal, so.
Yep, be patient.
Be patient, please, because that was a lot of snow, a lot of hauling. So.
All right, on that note, I'd like to thank all the council members for attending tonight. Thanks to the public for being there, hopefully watching. Thanks for the people that came to the public hearing and the public forum. It's always good to have input from people in the city. So at this moment, I would like to get a motion to adjourn, please.
I'll make that motion.
I'll make a motion by Tim, second. By Pat?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.